and have them hanging in the air for 3-4 years. In this financial year, Auditor General, we have moved to accrual from cash basis, and therefore pending bills will be treated in a different manner. Do we expect the county of Homa Bay to carry the ineligible bills in the balance sheet?
Maybe share this requires some guidance, because if they have confirmed and it hasn't been indicated that it's ineligible, and probably even the contractor has not provided the required, there's a process they have gone through in terms of even confirming the work they have done, or maybe even the documentations. So that brings the issue of the separations, because how do you bring them as payable if probably the documentation itself is also missing? Or maybe the vetting process has confirmed that the work has not also been done, because it's a process that has been done by the management.
Yeah, so
Chair, can I say something about this pending bills before Senator? I thought this matter had been canvassed at Kitale High Court, that the people who should only verify, and I wish the governor was listening, and it's good the county attorney is here. I don't know whether, Governor, you are aware when Governor of Trans Nzoia tried to form a verification pending bills committee, the courts ruled that in Kitale High Court that it is only the OAG was the verification of pending bills. So my question would be, during that time when you formed a task force, did you form a task force before that decision came into play? And now that you have indicated the eligible and eligible pending bills, how many in that task force report, if you could be kind enough to provide us a copy, and tell this committee which are eligible pending bills and eligible pending bills, and whether the OAG was involved in the task force report in terms of verification of the pending bills. And I would like to know whether your county attorney did advise you on the implications of that decision. Because I think the OAG, Muriuki, you still maintain that you are the only constitutional recognized body that you can only verify. So on this account payables, through the chair, on this accountable payables on pending bills, were you capturing what you from the raw data that were provided through financial statements that the entity provided, or what was the essence? That because the governor now is saying there is a report they did and they were paying as per that report, yet in the OAG report, where is the nexus? Maybe the OAG can go first and then the governor through the chair.
Okay. Yeah, so let's understand the process and then confirm whether it's in line with the court ruling in Kitale. So, but that should be described by the governor, isn't it?
Whether the OAG participated in the entire process.
In the verification.
Yeah.
OAG?
Sure, we didn't participate through the vetting of those pending bills, especially for the contractors.
Okay. Governor, what was the process that you instituted?
Yeah. Chair, we, as many counties did, we did institute a task force, which I appointed and gazetted, that made a public call in the newspapers for anybody who had pending bills to submit. The committee was made out of senior, auditors and other very senior professionals. All the contractors submitted their bills, the ones that, and you are told to submit bills and documents, which they did. The audit committee then looked through the documents. They also took the documents from the county that were there. They looked through all of them. They went round the projects. If you say you did a road or a toilet or whatever it is, they went round and checked all those projects. And I think they were able to go around to about 85% of the projects. Then they did a report, which was made public to the contractors. And then there was an appeal window that was also given for contractors who felt that their contracts were ineligible. This was done together with our internal audit department. And I wanted the attorney to speak to the issue of the case, because I remember when we were back here in the Senate when the issue of the case came up, but we had already concluded our processes by then. But Attorney, please intervene on the case and how it affected our process.
Before Attorney comes on board, so what was the number that was deemed to be ineligible before Attorney talks to the process?
I don't have it off the top of my head, but I want the team to get it from the report.
Okay, then the Attorney can proceed as they verify that.
Thank you very much, Chair. Chair, I want to point out that this task force was appointed way back. It must have been in late 2022, just immediately after Excellency took over office. That was way before the decision on Kitale was handed down. Chair, even after the decision in Kitale was handed down, Chair, when we were here before you last year, I think, we had a debate on this matter as well. And Chair, you remember the direction was that, yes, what the court in Kitale said was that the issue of verification as to the viability of bills lies with the audit process. Now, at the time, what the court said is that that has to be done by the external auditor or the internal auditor. Now, our process, and in fact, by the time, the reason why we are delayed in implementing that process at the time was that we were of the view that perhaps now our internal auditor needs to now take it to the OAG. But we got the advisory from here that we could be able to complete that process based on the report that was done by our internal audit department, Chair. That was the process that we went through from a legal point of view, interpreting the decision in Kitale.
So, do you have the figure for what was ineligible?
Yes, Chairman. What was ineligible was 1,094,796.
1,094,796. So, from where you sit as a CEO, because I think we are in agreement that there is no other institution or body that is better suited to determine what is eligible and what is ineligible at the county level, or beside the governor, with the oversight of the Office of the Auditor General. So why are we still having this conversation over the 1 billion if your processes have established that they are not valid claims?
We have made it very clear. We have made the report public. So those who continue to, this I just mentioned in the context of some of the people who may still be claiming to be having pending bills, yet they know very well that when they go through the report is voluminous and public. Everybody who submitted their claim is in that report. And the reason for ineligibility is also given. So we are not entertaining any ineligible costs. I only mentioned it in the context of some people who are still agitating, but on the basis of ineligible bills. But according to us as a government, the bills that we have are the ones that were declared eligible by the committee and our internal audit processes, as was guided by this committee. Thank you.
Okay, Senator Vice Chair.
Yeah, Chair, my question would be to the governor on the challenges of not paying these pending bills. The list that is provided here is a list of eligible pending bills. I'm looking at the list, Chair, and I'm looking at some very small figures dating back in 2023. Like there are some small mechanics who run garages, like it's not paginated, but it is in...
is it in the payment plan or in the outstanding...
in 5B.
5B, outstanding list?
Yes, in the outstanding list. Now that it's not paginated. I will not verify you the actual page.
They are raw numbers.
But there's a garage called Gamba Motors Garage, which incurred a bill on 30th October 2023 for a motor vehicle repair, and they're supposed to be paid 8,944. 8,944. This must be a Juakali mechanic. Up to now, he or she has not been paid. The next one is Vene Auto Spares and Services. He's supposed to pay 362,000. And so many others, 45,000, you know. Governor, what is the challenge? Because in this year under consideration, we had met our revenue target in terms of on-source revenue. And so in the subsequent year, we would have done even budgets, supplementary budgets, and paid these people. These are very poor people in Homa Bay. What is the challenge here, Governor?
Governor, the small, those very small bills.
Yeah, I agree.
And I believe that these are eligible.
These are eligible bills.
So there's no question as to their authenticity.
Yes, these are eligible bills, and that should have been paid. As you realize, Chairman, through you, we did pay bills up to 642 million in this last year, and the fiscal space only did allow that. What I want to agree with you on is we should prioritize the very small bills and finish with them, which is what we are also trying to do. The very, very small bills, finish with them, and you move. The only thing sometimes is a bill like 8,000 should be sorted at the departmental level using departmental operations. So sometimes somebody has processed it, yet it is a bill of 8,000. That means that a department has taken their car to the garage. They have a departmental operation that they should use to clear that kind of bill. So we should prioritize the smaller bills. That is very, very well noted, and that is what we are trying to do. But in this last financial year, we tried to pay the 642. The fiscal space is the challenge.
And I think this was just a random observation by the senator from Taita Taveta. But if this is a Gamba Motors garage that I know, is the proprietor recently passed on? I think so. So it is very sad that. I hope not. but it's. I mean, so the small claimants really should be prioritized.
I think, Chair, what the governor is saying, I think we should put emphasis on it. I know there could be that challenge of the aging analysis, that yes, it could be little amount of money, but just incurred yesterday, but there's huge amount of money incurred many years ago. But honestly, for small bills like these ones, you could just make a policy that for bills below this amount of money, just clear those bills. You don't have a garage owner, sitting outside your office, claiming to, waiting to be paid 8,000 shillings. Then they actually pass on before they even get the money. Yeah. It's not a good thing.
Senator Vesha, Senator Cherargei?
Chair, I concur with my colleagues, and I think your finance department should at least prepare. I've seen you are prepared how you will pay your pending bills, but why don't they prepare and prioritize the small bills? Because at the end of the day, so that you pay these people who are being owed 40,000 shillings, 50,000 shillings, 8,000 shillings. This governor should 64,000. This was former cleaning, supply of cleaning materials, 64,900 in the schedule that you are provided. What is the long-term solution? Because we don't want governor and all of us who are stakeholders and defenders of the devolution, is that it is very sad that counties have turned now into a graveyard of many businesses. Many people are dying, people are diabetic, they receive pressure. Chair, and I was very saddened to see the contractors from your county being frustrated, Chair. Would it be, Governor, can you become innovative so that we don't see some of these unnecessary sideshows that people have to go to media for their issues to be addressed? So I hope in this financial year, I agree there could be the issue of supplementary budget, the issue of budgeting. But now that you are meeting, I think one of my colleagues have noted the own source revenue targets, you are meeting them. this should be easy for you to ensure that you dispense of the issue of pending bill. So, Governor, at least when you go back, this, I know most of the contractors in our counties are organized. At least with your finance department, can they give a breakdown and tell them that you need, these are your people, tell them that you need to pay the smaller bills of 64,000, 100,000, then people who are being owed millions and millions of shillings, then they can be paid. Governor, maybe just as an upshot, as of today, because what we are seeing is financial year 2023-22, the response you gave, is it the status of the pending bill of Mutembei County as of today? The response that you have given in your statement, or how much is your government being owed? And Chair, I noticed that the governor was opening a brand new county headquarters. Wow, is it the contractors complaining part of the people, or the new county headquarters? Has it been paid off in full? Because I would really want to know the difference, because we are trying to bring the comparison between, was it Akuba, the man who used to become sick when he was supposed to appear before Park, but you see him in BBI rallies dancing like never before. So I want to know, in this county headquarters, for example, which you have opened and is in public domain, so it is zero, no one is being owed in that. They build and give you the key, so no one owes you. So that we know the difference in terms of the pending bill. I yield, Chair.
Okay, Senator Gataya.
Chair, thank you, Chair. I think I captioned, Chair, talk of somebody, one of the garage owners who recently passed on. I don't know whether it was stress related because of these debts. And I captured the governor talk of departmental structures where these small bills are supposed to be settled. Do you have those structures where maybe you can advance some AIs to departments? Maybe they can sort out small bills instead of, because I don't imagine why a small garage owner in the small suburbs of Mutembei would wait for 3 years to be paid 8,000 shillings. I don't know, these people are maybe living on some under mouth.
Governor?
Thank you, Chairman. Chairman, starting with Senator Gataya's question on the departmental structures, yes, we advance some AIs to the departments where they're able to pay the small, they should be able to pay the small bills, so that should be possible. And Chairman, the pending bills question, I think it's a national question, and it's a problem that we are facing, that we have to deal with through engaging with our associations, which is what we have been doing continuously, engaging with the association of contractors and continuing to draw plans through which we can pay the bills to the best of our ability. In terms of the county headquarters, it's a current bill. We have an agreement for which we are paying for the county headquarters. It's not a pending bill, it's a current bill, and we have paid quite a bit of it, and we continue to pay for it. It's not a pending bill. Thank you, Chairman.
Yeah, so just to
Chair, maybe before she leaves that, who is this? Why don't you just disclose who financed? Maybe before Wambua you come on board, who financed the construction of the county headquarters? And
Chairman,
would you be kind enough to provide the contract engagement with the provider, whether the financing or financing that did the county headquarters?
There is a substantive issue in this report about the county headquarters,
Okay.
which we are coming to. We
But
can,
Chair,
we can deal with it at that point.
Chair, we can chew the gum as we scale the
No,
stairs.
it's okay. We'll end up mixing issues and get lost. So let's.
Oh, she can hold that one.
Yes, you
Okay.
can hold that
Okay.
one. We'll deal with it there. Senator Wanga.
Chair, because I have heard the governor say something very important about our pending bills. And I agree with her that this is a national problem. It's a big problem. So Governor, from where you sit, because you're also a national leader, is this situation getting better or is it getting worse? The bills issue.
I think we need a national discussion on the pending bills question. We have the team that was auditing the national pending bills and some that have audited ours. We have made proposals, for example, if we could have even bulk payment to counties so that we are able to sort the pending bills that have, existed, and then we can, over time, on our equitable share, it can be retained so that we can create circulation of money in the economy. I think we have to look at the budget in question and whether we meet our on-source revenue targets according to budget, so that we're able to resolve the issue of the pending bills. It is a big question. I think we are, I don't know, I think we are where we are where we are with it. It's a big question.
Chair, I ask that question because, honestly, and these are conversations we can have as leaders. Pending bills are incurred within budgets. Governments have budgets. They run budgets. So by the time that we are saying a single county government has a pending bill of 1.5 billion Kenya shillings, which in some cases is even more than their annual expenditure on development. So how do we find ourselves there? I hear in Nairobi, Chair, and we are not auditing Nairobi, but I hear in Nairobi we have now over 107 billion Kenya shillings in pending bills. So when we say then the National Treasury should perhaps advance some money to counties to offset pending bills, how do we even get there in the first place? Governor, I say that because when I look at the pending bills for Homa Bay, and it is a case for any other county, and every contractor in town is complaining, I have not been paid, I need this money to be paid. But a determination has been made by your county and other counties that what you are claiming is not eligible for payment. How do we get out of this problem that we have found ourselves in? It's a big conversation, I agree with you.
Governor, do you want to respond? But that was for emphasis. So the facts are as follows, that you had 1.19 billion as pending bills. You have paid 620 million. 620 million. Auditor General, that's verifiable, that they have settled 620 million out of the 1.19 billion.
Yes, yeah, that's verifiable.
So that leaves a balance of 571 million.
Yes.
And you have a payment plan for that runs into 5 quarters. Why 5 quarters and not 4 quarters?
We were looking at the fiscal space in the year 25-26, and we were able to accommodate all of it, less 148 million. So we will accommodate 148 million in the first quarter of 26-27. Thank you, Chair.
How do you provide certainty to the suppliers? Because so how do I know if I've got a pending bill, whether I'll be paid in the financial year 2026-2027 or in the first quarter of 2025-2026? How do you manage that? Because perhaps that is part of the problem that is causing some agitation. Nobody knows when theirs will be paid, yet you acknowledge that they are going to be paid.
What we're going to do with this payment plan, according to how we've agreed with the controller of budget, is on an aging basis for their bills, so that we finish with the ones that we had earlier as we go to the ones that we had later. That is the arrangement that we have, and we have provided even the names of the contractors to the controller of budget, the specifics.
Because the document-headed payment plan is not really a payment plan. It's a listing of all the pending bills, starting with a very curious figure of 450 million, 450 million. You've seen that? As bank overdraft for salary. So the question is, how much of this relates to statutory deductions? SACCOs, KRA.
We don't owe KRA, apart from that salary that we owe the bank. We don't owe
savings and credit cooperatives.
Yeah, I was just saying that, Chairman, we are up to date on our KRA payments.
Maybe, Chair, if I'm just to ask, is it possible to know, in terms of disaggregating the pending bills, which ones are from operations and which ones are from development expenditure? Is it possible to have that disaggregation? And then number two, do we have any staff payables, like loans deducted but not remitted to the third parties? Number three, Governor, there are ineligible pending bills, quite some substantial amount.
1 billion.
1 billion. I'm not very sure if people can claim 1 billion with no work or services rendered at all. So maybe you can give us an inkling of what constitutes ineligible pending bills. In 2019, I think, or 2020, we had a county saying that they have ineligible pending bills, but when you go on the ground, a hole has been constructed. Maybe what is just missing is an invoice. An invoice can miss because procurement officer or an accountant has decided to just remove it from the file. Did you give them opportunity maybe for reconstruction of those documents or of the files, so that if a building has been done, a project has been done to the specifications, and it is there for use by the poor of Mutembei, then that person can be paid that bill? Thank you, Chair.
On the Vice Chair, for example, and thank you for bringing that up, Governor. If a road was done in 2021, 22, or 22, 23, and that road somewhere in Kaspul, there has been heavy rains, so they put maram and what have you. But when your committee, verification pending committee, visited the road, the grass has overgrown because the rains have been heavy, it has been swept off. And you know, members of National Assembly where you serve sometimes are mischievous. They have put their billboard to say this road is being done by Kera. You are contracted. How do you prove such? Because for some people or some of your businessmen, in, for example, in your county, Mutembei, the county of endless potential, to claim 1 billion that you have given us and zero, was it 1 billion and something, and some cents, to come up and say we are being owed by the county government of Mutembei 1 billion plus. Governor, did it at some point strike you as, did it not disturb you? Or what was the basis of the report, as the Vice Chair has asked? Is it because maybe an invoice was missing, or when your people went on the ground? For example, you have sub-county road engineers that are supervisors, or there were no reports, or there were no certificates of completion. What constituted your committee for saying 1 billion is ineligible? Was it, what is it, Chair, so that we can get the picture? Thank you.
Governor, a brief response.
Thank you, Chairman. In terms of what constituted ineligible bills, a big part of it was legal, where we had a company like, I think, Nyauke and Co. claiming about 150 million. But when we looked at the committee looked at the cases, no appearances were entered by the lawyers. The cases were lost. So a lot of those were considered ineligible. When it came to projects, when the committee went round, they didn't stop at a road being washed. They asked the community, when was the last time this road was done? And they just asked around, and this was a very independent committee from us. They asked, the non-people said, no, we've never seen any tractor on this road. And you found contractors providing 2, 3, 4 contractors providing the same picture of a excavator at site It is provided for this road, it is provided for that road, it is provided for the next road. So when the committee was looking through, they showed us, when they were presenting this report, some of this evidence that was provided by contractors. They were just the same evidence being provided for 3, 4, 5 roads, showing that there was already a problem with some of those. So they were very thorough. And when they called out on the newspaper, you know, people came and brought all my. So when you asked for any evidence, some did not have any evidence of having done any work. And also when you went to the ground, there was no work. There was a case where a contractor even took the committee to a gaff, a toilet I had built using gaff during that time, and they said this is the toilet that I built. But they could, when they asked, they could see clearly that it wasn't a county government project then. So, Chairman, those were the committees. And then the contractors were provided with an opportunity then to appeal, you know, to come back and say, I really did this project because of A, B, C, D. But now where there was completely no documentation, there was nothing else, no legs for the contracts to stand on for us to pay. Otherwise, we would still be back before you, Chairman, without legs to stand on for making payments, because the auditor would still flag them out.
I think the position of the Senate is that where counties have gone through a process, particularly where the internal audit is involved, and maybe with some oversight from the Office of the Auditor General, and established that certain claims are ineligible for various reasons. In fact, we had said, why can't those files be forwarded to DCI? Because isn't that an offense?
It is.
Isn't it? Why are we treating it as if it's business as usual? If someone is going to claim they built a toilet that the member of National Assembly built, isn't that criminal? So it should not just be talking about striking off 1,094,000. Perhaps the national conversation should be forward the files to DCI for criminal prosecution, for investigation and prosecution, because that is fraud of huge proportions. 1 billion in Homa Bay times 47 could be 47 billion. People trying to steal public resources that could have been used elsewhere. So this committee will concern itself with what has been verified. And what has been verified is a 1.19. What has been paid is 620 million. What is outstanding is 571 million. What we want to encourage is there is first in, first out. However, we must prioritize statutory deductions. There is no reason why an employee should be, yes, let's just start from even your staff. You are paid a salary, and then you have withheld the contribution to a SACCO or contribution to some insurance education plan for their child. I mean, that would be unjust. So, Auditor General, since you are doing the audit for 24-25 now, please break down or ask the entity to clearly demonstrate statutory deductions that those have been settled. I think what we are seeing in this schedule is 450 million for salary arrears, but there are also small amounts of housing levy fund, 6 million, NITA payment, 368,000, etc. Small amounts. That, I think we must agree with the control of budget, Gashanja, that a county that has got long-standing statutory deductions has no business requesting approval for financing for new programs when that has not been done. I think, Governor, that should be reasonable. That statutory deductions should not be sitting on this list of pending bills for periods exceeding 1 year, or even exceeding one disbursement frame, and the small claims. So, on this, we have seen the payment plan for the 571 million. Auditors confirmed the 620 million has been paid. I will also, if I get a petition, a proper petition from the contractors, I will look at it and see whether those are claims on the ineligible bills or the ones that have been verified. I think if someone is claiming something out of the 1 billion ineligible bills, it would be very difficult for the Senate to whitewash and tell the governor that the Senate thinks that this should be paid. That then will be a level of interference that the Senate is not supposed to engage in. But if the contractors from the county feel that they have a strong case that needs the ears of the Senate, we can create a forum. And Governor, if that was to happen, we will invite you so that we can hear both sides of the story. But I think the principle is whatever has been verified, whatever has been found to be ineligible, we should be very careful not to reopen the Pandora's box.
Maybe my chair would be to the chair, Public Accounts Committee of the Assembly, if he has cited these figures in the budget. Are they in the budget? Because then they can be in the budget, but if you don't put adequate safeguards during supplementary budgets, we can have these figures washed to some other things. Number two, how easy is it for you to get information as a county assembly on how many contractors and which contractors have been paid? Because in other counties it has been very difficult for assemblies to get information from the executive. How easy is it? Maybe you can give us some information.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. On the issue of pending bills, I believe at times, I also sit in the Budget Committee. So to begin with, the first question you asked, Honorable Member, Vice Chair, on whether these particular figures are included either in the main budget or in the supplementary. I want to confirm that there are in two consecutive budgets, I've seen these figures included. And for the purposes of the supplementary budget, I can say that we are not yet there. And in the event that we are requested to approve those figures, then we will be doing that after having verified and being given, of course, document to prove that indeed they are pending bills.
What I'm saying in a nutshell, Chair, is that now that you say the figures are in the budget, please put adequate safeguards so that in the supplementary budgets, the executive does not remove these figures so that this payment plan is honored for the benefit of the contractors.
Thank you, we'll do that.
Okay, I think let's move on to the biggest fiduciary risk that the county faces, that is compensation of employees. And so we will deal with compensation of employees. We will deal with, and in that we'll deal with everything to do with HR. I think we'll deal with the issues on legal, and then we will go to one or two of the other projects. And honourable members.
Chair, and don't forget my question on county headquarters.
Yes.
Kindly.
Yes, it is. Okay. It is subsumed in the Arujo animal feed question. So we'll deal with it when we get there. Now, Governor, there are a number of specific queries the Auditor General raised that has to do with HR. Honourable members, I want to request that instead of going through specific issue, we first of all take a global view. Now, the global view is that you are using, is it 55% of your resources? What is the exact percentage? Because that's where the risk lies. If 55% of your money is going to employees, then even your payment plan for pending bills sounds like a political promise, unless you do something about those numbers. So, the CEC or Chief Officer of Finance, how much did you spend on employees in this financial year?
Chairman,
4.2 billion?
it is 53%, yeah. 4.2 billion.
4.2 billion.
Yeah.
Now, the 4.2 excludes salaries for 2 months, isn't it?
Does it exclude for
So if you are to include the salary for 2
1
months,
month?
no, your note indicates it excludes May and June.
No, just 1 month. Yeah.
Yes, Senator.
Is it 53 as of today or on that under review? I thought as of today is 55%, or as it took to 53. And then
Actually, that's what I'm driving at.
okay.
Because the figure of 4.2 billion, I think just look at the notes under compensation of employees. At least they have made a good disclosure there. Where they're saying underutilization of 17% in compensation of employees was a result of delayed receipt of funds, which consequently resulted to non-payment of May and June 2024 salaries. So 4.2 excludes 2 months. If you are to add the 2 months, what is the true annual cost? This one the accountant should have at their fingertips, so that we tell whether is it 52%, is it 55%, and then let's look at other counties, how they are performing, and then we ask ourselves what then is special about Mutembei. See, Chief Officer, what's your average monthly spend on salary?
Please.
Thank you, Chair. About 475 million average.
So if 4.2 excluded 2 months, it is reasonable to say that your spend on employees that year was probably 5 billion.
Yes. Thereabout.
Yes, Chair.
So what is that growth from the prior year?
The prior year was how much?
Because prior year, your cost was 4.2 billion. In the year under review, you are probably at 5 billion. So the problem is getting worse. How do we explain we're already in a tight fiscal space, but our compensation of employees is growing by, I think that's 900 million in a year. I'm referring to the numbers, so maybe there's a story, but they say numbers don't lie.
I think the 4.2, there was no payment for, they had not paid for a month that year, the previous year. There was a month that was not paid. Just the same way we had.
Which one? The one the prior year.
Yes, the one the prior year. That is the advice.
There was 1 month.
Yeah, there was 1 month not paid. And then there is a question of statutory, especially employer.
Just on that, so that, okay, so the 4.2 for 22-23, we can adjust it by another 400 million. The 4.2 for 23-24, we adjust it by 900 million. There's still a growth of about 400 million.
And so we have been looking at that figure seriously, and it has been a major question of employer obligations. And there was a long period, if you look at our payment of employer obligations, particularly pensions, submission of pensions and gratuities, that was not included for many, many months. And so when we brought on board and decided that you have to pay the employer, you have to put in the employer obligations, the pensions, the gratuities, and then any other levies that were introduced, like the housing levy, which is about another 11 million per month in Mutembei. Then now it brought the figure up reasonably. Of course, including some a bit of additional recruitments also that we did. Thank you.
Chair, just a question on the housing. Governor?
I'm just advised that the statutory deductions that we are not remitting were about 52 million on a monthly basis. Thank you.
Okay, so the question that I'm asking is, did the county government make salary adjustments to cater for housing? Because you see it's like there's an increment of 11 million. Did you do any adjustments?
No, this is the employer side, because the levy was imposed and you have to pay it from the employer side, and there was no increase in the equitable share to cover for that increased cost.
It's 11 million per month?
About 11 million.
That's what.
But for the statutory reductions, that should have been covered under pending bills. I thought it is there. It cannot constitute the increase in the amount for compensation of employees.
Yeah, when you start to now remit employer obligations, then you will not pay the same as when you are not remitting the employer obligations. So if you are paying, you can just say it was 350 million maybe, but now you have to pay 400 because of the 52 million that the county made a decision that we must be able to remit our employer obligations. So that I was responding to the question on why there was an increase in the amount that we have been paying.
Okay, we hold it for a minute. You know, there's a special audit on payroll that was done by the Office of the Auditor General. Governor, I don't know whether you have seen a copy of that audit report. A payroll audit that was done across the 47 counties. I think it must be under the Kenya Devolution Support Program or something like that. Have you been furnished with a copy of that report?
Yes, it was done, and we were given. It was brought to my office. Yes.
Because I've read that report, and it is inconsistent with what the auditor has raised here. That report indicates that in one financial year, your head count increased by 15%. In one financial year, between 22, 23, and 23, 24. That was a 14% growth in staff headcount. In this report of the Auditor General, if you look at this query around diversity, the diversity of employees in Mutembei County, my concern is not even on the diversity issue. My concern is on the numbers. Because I said I'm going to cross-reference the HR issue so that we move quickly instead of reading one by one. Non-compliance with provisions on ethnic diversity, affirmative action on gender, and persons living with disabilities. The substantive issue there, I think, have been canvassed by our sister committee, the Cohesion Committee, which I believe you have appeared before on some of these subjects. But the interesting thing is that the Auditor General said you have 6,986 employees. Is that the correct figure?
The current number of employees that you have, Chairman, is 7,100. And 7,183.
But in your response, the written responses that we considered and took to the House, you indicated you had 7,554.
Chairman, we have been carrying out an audit in our departments. What we have instituted, we've instituted a HR roundtable, and we have now been making comparison of figures that report to work in the department versus what is on the payroll. And after doing that through a couple of months, we have settled on a final figure now there of 7,183. The figure has been swinging because you see people on the payroll that are not also earning salaries and so on. So we keep on removing them and we keep on improving on that system. And finally, we told every chief officer who's an authorized officer, bring the people who are actually reporting to work, bring the payroll, make a comparison, and we've done that over a couple of months. And I think our figure now stands at 7,164.
There is a fourth number. There is a fourth number from the OAG's payroll report. Clerk, can you just check that? There's a table in it that shows the growth of headcount, and I think it puts it at a far much lower number, even though there was a query where there were ghost workers. I think that report has slightly below 6,000, which then does not make sense when you compare with the OAG's number. The number you had in March, was 7,554, and the number you have today is 7,183. Now, just a minute, I'll give you the opportunity, but I wanted to propose that since the payroll audit report is very substantive, and Homa Bay is far in the red as far as HR issues are concerned, we could convene a substantive meeting where the governor internalizes the report and does a proper formal response, because it has some observations which, if we take without challenging, will lead us to the conclusion that as far as HR practices are concerned, Homa Bay is a crime scene. It has allegations of staff with dates of birth that are inconsistent with their birth certificates. It has allegations or observations of staff who were called for a physical audit and only a small percentage appeared. I think it would be fair to prosecute that report in a proper formal meeting so that we are not ambushing the governor with the numbers.
Chair,
But,
maybe I can ask only
Senator
general questions. Governor, I can see 83% of your work staff are men. What is the challenge? Women of Homa Bay are not applying for positions. Maybe you can highlight that, and the fact that they have elected you. I'm not saying they have elected you because you are a woman, of course, because you are a leader. Number two, on this, just general, because we will, compensation of employees, in this 4 billion plus that you pay and other temporary employees, maybe just you can tell us, are all of them paid through IPPD, both permanent and temporary workers? Number three, in this head count, I know there are people who maybe have suspended and what have you, and I think yesterday you did suspend HR of Roads Department, who allegedly abducted People Daily journalists. And Chair, you should be careful in Homa Bay. It could be one of the 1 million ways to die as a journalist. Because if you speak against something in Homa Bay, as a journalist, you are likely to be abducted. And it is on record.
No,
and you didn't suspend.
That cannot be a fact. That can only be an opinion.
No, I'm talking about allegedly.
Yes.
And
yes,
by the way, the facts are that the governor suspended one of the officers of HR in Roads, and I think Roads Department, over allegations of abduction of a journalist. So we don't want to hear such stories from our counties. So in this head count, what are the challenges apart from suspension, disciplinary action? What is it that you are facing as a challenge? Just a general overview, then when you come for substantive. So those are my three questions. Whether all the employees are on IPPD, why is it that 83% are men, where are the women in Homa Bay? And then finally, on the issue of headcount, maybe you can give the general overview. I think.
Chair, so that you can answer both. I would also want to know the methodology that you used in your staff audit to give you 7183. What is the methodology?
Governor?
Thank you, Chairman. Chairman, I want to take great exception, just for the record, with the comments of Senator Cherargei on Homa Bay, 1,000 ways to die there.
No, I
want to take great exception.
I've ruled him out of order, so you don't need to respond to that. That was out of order. Please proceed.
Thank you, Chairman.
Because I want us to deal with the audit issues. Let's leave things that are out there.
I thought they said there was a nature officer that was suspended over allegations of abduction.
Let's
It's a fact. Unless she says she didn't do it.
Senator Cherargei, let's deal with these substantive issues.
But it's part of the HR.
Let's deal with the substantive issues. Governor, could you respond to the substantive issue? I know sugar levels are going down.
I'd like to do that.
But the longer we prevaricate, the more we are going to stay here.
Chair, I pray that you guide us, please. Where we are, what you need to do, Chair, let's stick to the audit queries and process those issues as responded.
So, Governor, don't respond to issues that are not here.
Okay, Chairman. You know, Chairman, where Homa Bay has come from and where we are, and that is why I wanted to just...
Chair, just on indulgence, before the governor speaks. You know, we should also be alive of what is happening. We are not morticians, and unless you are telling us we are morticians, it's a fact, and it's a nature issue. I was just asking, allegedly, that some people have been suspended. It's a fact, and it's affecting HR. So it was only for the governor...
The suspension of officers and 1,000 ways to die are two very unrelated things.
Okay. Now, let's leave the 1,000 ways to die.
Yes,
let's leave 1,000
so that must be struck off the handset. The inference that being in Homa Bay as a journalist is among the 1,000 ways to die, I think that must be struck off the handset.
Anyway, Chair, that was my opinion. Let me now mention Governor, the other part.
I have cleared that matter. Let's go to the HR issue.
Chair, thank you, Chairman. I wanted to...
You had asked your 3 questions. Let the Governor respond, please.
Governor, Chair, so that I'm not misunderstood, I wish you could give me 30 seconds. I agree with the other part to be struck out, but I was just asking, as part of the HR issue, I did not say, because it's something that happened yesterday.
No, I think the objectionable part has been struck off the record, so we could proceed.
Thank you. Chairman, we have had all our staff on the HRIS. It's no longer the IPPD now. All our staff have been on the put on the HRIS. And the data that has been referred to by Senator Cherargei about our staff being 83% men, I think it is, I'm not sure which report he was referring to, because the gender of our employees is 53% women and 46% men. Chairman, on the question of the methodology that we used to get the 7183 number, putting our staff on the HRIS has enabled us to now have full visibility of the staff that we have. This is a continuous process because staff are leaving and joining also every day. So we have instituted a HR roundtable done by the Public Service Board and the authorized officers. And every month you make a report of who is in your department and is actually reporting to work, and who has left, who has been transferred, and we are making comparisons with that against the payroll. So it's it's an exercise that we are carrying out monthly to be able to weed out the staff. We are now also going to institute biometric staff reporting elements, so that every time a staff reports, they would use the biometrics so that we note that they're there, and even geofencing of staff who work in the field, and so that we know that they're actually reporting to work. Chairman, that is going to help us to come as low as possible on this issue of the staff, because it is of course a concern. But Chairman, remember the first time we were here, we did not know how many staff we had, even if you asked us, in terms of the staff establishment. Chairman, since then we have been able to do our human resource policies and procedures. We have been able to do, Chairman, and you have copies there, our organizational structure and staff establishment. So now we are operating. We have been able to make a lot of progress in this area of HR. Are we where we need to be? Maybe not yet, but we have made a lot of progress. We had over 2,200 employees on a manual payroll as of 2022. We have moved all of them, got for them PF numbers, and moved all of them to the IRIS. That is how serious we've been on this matter of HR. Thank you, Chair.
Let's look at a comparative analysis.
Chair, just on that one. Because, you know, one of the things that we have received a lot of documents, so maybe we are mixed up. Governor, the document that we have here, the report of the Auditor General on County Executive of Homa Bay for the year ended June 30th, 2024, on non-compliance with provisions of ethnicity diversity, affirmative action, gender, persons with living with disabilities, it says clearly that the staff complement is composed of 83% male and 17% female for support staff, and 75% male and 25% female for technical staff. That's the report that we have. But you have given other figures, but I don't know where they'll be found, which report that is.
And that is why, Governor, I want to assist you. Let me play the devil's advocate, because you're asking where is Cherargei getting the information. You know I like reading. I got it from the OAG report, and I hope your CCM Finance could be kind enough. And I think, Chair, you had alluded to this 1.3. And maybe, Chair, Governor, to be clear, just the last limb, you have said all these have gone to human resource and information system. What about the temporary, or are they part of all of it, or permanent? The permanent employees are put into this system? What about the temporary employees? And for the information, just check page 5, 1.3 on the OAG report. I yield, Chair.
Yeah, the numbers in the, so it started with the total number of staff. What the Auditor General has reported, the Governor has a different number. The percentages, what the Auditor has reported, the Governor has a different number. Why don't we tie this? Because there's a PwC consultancy that has been cited here, and find out how that was useful to the county. Because if the county had spent, 32 million paid to PwC to audit the county public service, why are we still having this moving numbers of staff as a moving target? So, because you said we needed to tie the HR issues.
And Chair, while on PWD's PricewaterhouseCoopers of 32 million, why did they, I have seen even my county, they did use Public Service Commission to partner and did audit on the same. So when Governor comes back, she should justify as to why PricewaterhouseCoopers were given over, I need this intergovernmental relationship between Public Service Commission, or whether they were doing it jointly, so that there is consistency. And I hope, Governor, you have noted in 1.3 OAG report, what is the OAG having and what you have put on record or unanswered is worlds apart. And that inconsistency, Chair, can point us to a lot of concerns. And I hope, Governor, when you come back on the issue of temporary staff, I can see there was a decline between the 2022, 2023, 2024 in terms of temporary staff. I think in note number, I can see in 2022-2023 it was 59 million, but in 2023-2024 it was 25 million. So you should be able to tell us whether you transited the temporary employees to permanent and pensionable, or their contract lapsed and it was not renewed. And also to clarify whether on this wage of temporary employees and the head count that you did, whether there was citing of ghost workers, because we know the challenge in some of these counties, Chair, has been the challenge of, she has said on record that when they call for head count, some people did not turn up. So could it be a possibility of ghost workers that work within your entity? Chair, I think since you know the reason, Chair, we are on this too much is because 55% of the expenditure you have, Governor, is on wage bill. And that is why we are using a lot of energy and questioning, because it is consuming a huge part, which is across the country. You know, our counties have turned into employment bureaus, which is very sad, because, Governor, I know if you were to maybe get 35%, you can release a lot of money for development in our county of Mutembei County.
So we can find out how the PwC process has been of value to the county. Vice Chair?
Yeah, just what you're saying, that I know PwC is a reputable entity. They would have they have their report. We also have a report by Auditor General. Let's see how they compare. And I think when the Governor comes, then we would need to have the reports harmonized and maybe justify where there are variations. I think that would be important for us. And as Senator Cherargei has said, 55% is quite a big percentage in terms of if you are to have 55% for wage bill and then maybe 11% for the assembly, that is 66%. What does then that portend for development? You have only 4% for operations. Then do we satisfy the 30% for capex, capital expenditure? Those would be the questions.
Okay, so Auditor, what was your contention with this payment for consultancy services?
Yeah, Chair, at the time of audit, what was pending was the final report.
I think for context, it's not a very long issue. Just read it out, and then we review the governor's response.
Okay, thank you, Chair. That's payment for consulting services, payroll, and personnel census. Note 4 to the financial statement reflected expenditure of Kenya shilling 808,307,760 in respect to use of goods and services, which further includes an amount of Kenya shilling 53,753,975 in respect of the contracted professional services, including in this a contracted professional service amount to Kenya shilling 7.7 million, being the payment to the firm in respect of the part payment for the contract sum